NoCoders Office Hours. I am your host, Tanya, and I'm here with our member, John Wright. I'm going to start in just a moment, but first, if this is your first time tuning in to Office Hours, we do this 6 times per week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and Mondays we have a second session at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. If you would like to come in to our Zoom session and ask bubble questions as you're going through the struggles that people sometimes have building their apps in Bubble, please do go check us out at pronocoders.com, sign up for a developer membership, and you can come to any or all of the office hours for one low price, $119 per month. So John just asked us a great question about how he can achieve some functionality. I'm going to let him go ahead and start sharing his screen again.
Okay.
If you just show the
start. Shall I start from the beginning again?
Yep. No, you don't have to start at the beginning. You just show the functionality, and I can there.
Okay. So, so back in here. So this is what we were talking about. So I've got it so that when you click this, the up arrow, it sorts it one way, and when you click the down arrow, it sorts it the other. And what I want to try and get to is something more like Google, where you click it again, it reverses the sort, and it gives you a visual indicator of which column you're on and which way up it is. So if we can get something akin to the Google way, that would be awesome.
Got it. So I think what we're going to want to do is have a custom state. I think if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to prototype this out, and then you can adopt it for what you want to do. So I just did something similar in another app.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Let me remember which one it is. So the difference is you're not storing your data in the database. You're using List Shifter for this. But
yeah, and it's coming straight from the API. Yeah.
Right, which is great. So let's do sorting. So I'm going to have on here, I'm just going to make some text fields here called field. And the reason I'm doing this is you already have it working. Like, you already have your sorting working. The main changes that we're going to do is on the icon or whatever image, instead of having 2 different ones, you're only going to have one for each one. And then
and we sort of want that. Click it once, it sorts it A to Z. Click it twice, it sorts it Z to A. Yeah, precisely.
And so, but then what you need to do is you need to set a state on the page that will set the sort by default. And then every time you click on this, depending on what the current, depending on the current state and which one of these icons is being clicked, it will achieve something different. So in this case, what we'll have is so let me create the custom state, and I'm just going to go for reference. I'm going to go into this app here. Come on, Bubble. I wish they just had, like, I could type in the name of an app here. Nope, it's not on the page yet. That's why. I didn't go back far enough. There
it is. Yeah.
I go into the admin portal here. I have a repeating group that I sort like 1 of 5 different ways or something like that. Repeating group, I think it's this one. Yeah, so you can see I have this click here, right? So I have the donor that we do alphabetically for sorting. We have the amount donated and the donor zip code, which I treat as a number in terms of sorting. So so then what I'm doing here is on page load. When page is loaded, here set states of sorting. So I set it to date descending, and this is done with an option set that I created called donation sort. So if I go into my option sets here, I have this donation sort, and I have these different, so 2 for each field, so 8 different states, right? And and then I have on each of these things, there's a descending, which is yes, no, and a field display, which is of type text. And so name ascending is descending is no, and then the field display is name. This part is irrelevant to you because you're not using Bubbles database, right? So
yeah.
But let's go back to the design. So what you're
so I don't need to create that option set. Is that what you're saying?
No, the option set I would create. What you don't need to do is you don't need to worry about the having a specific field display, because the reason I did that was in the repeating group itself, I was doing dynamic sorting, right?
Okay.
But you're not doing that. You're doing the workflow to change the sorting with list shifter, right? So your sorting's not going to be dynamic here. What will be dynamic is that field on page load. You're going to set a sorting field so that you know how you're currently sorting. So this is how you're, every time you change the sorting, you're going to change this custom state to know how things are currently sorted, because then when you are clicking on these various icons here,
I change the state.
You're going to change the state. So I come in here, and for each of these, I have, I think, 3 different ones. So when group amount donated, see how these are, is it 3 or 4? Might be 4 different one. So I'm looking at this when the donation sorting is name ascending, and I click on this group amounted, then I have to figure out, I have to send in the workflow thing, and it triggers down here a custom event to be able to change the sorting. So the reason you're doing that is because what you want is, first of all, if you're not sorting by either of the things attached to this particular row, this won't be visible until you hover over it, right? And once it is hovered, once it is hovered and you click it, then you need to show which direction it's going.
Yeah.
And that's all going to be based on the states in the condition. So whichever icon here is showing will change based on the states here. So in this case, what we'll just take it, I'll just demonstrate here. I'm going to go to app data, go to users, I'm going to pick an admin. Here. I'm just going to drag this over here for a sec.
Wonder if you're going to get a load of people logging in an hour's time again.
Well, at least for the Facebook invitation, I said in 15 minutes. So
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I have a bunch of people joining an hour late again. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever been on my own before. But anyway.
Yeah, no, it's fun when you're on your own, and you get all of it to yourself. So I don't have them disappearing in their null, like in the null state. I just have dash here. And then this one is the default one. So let's see, on default, if I have donation date descending, so the most recent date up at the top, and I click this icon, then it should shift it to ascending. And the way that's achieved is just switch the order here, is if I go into design and I go into this one. So first of all, the states to show it as being a downward arrow here is when admin portal's donation sorting is not date ascending and it's not date descending, then it's going to be that dash. If it is date descending, then the data source is going to be date descending. And if the admin portal's donation sorting is date ascending, then the data source will be date ascending. And this is
okay. And that source is your custom list.
Right. That has to do with how I'm using the data source of this group in the workflow. So then if I go to the workflow here, so it highlighted this one when group donation date container row is clicked in. Donation container, date container. So that's what it is. So the ones that say date, this one and this one, right?
Yeah.
So when this one is clicked and the donation sorting is date ascending, that's not true. So it must be this one. The admin portal's donation sorting is not date ascending, and admin portal's donation sorting is not date descending, or admin portal's donation sorting is date descending. So any of those, if this is true or if this is true, then it's going to trigger donation sorting, which is one custom event down here, but it's going to send in that option set, the date ascending option set. And that's going to set the state's donation sorting of admin portal to date ascending. And because what you're going to have to do is you're also going to have to trigger the workflow to change the list shifter, right?
Yeah. And I've already effectively got that part, so that should be easier.
Part. Yeah, so you're just worried about the custom state to be able to show things the way that you want.
Yeah,
right?
And you're putting these custom states at a page level, presumably.
Almost always I put my custom states at the page level. The only time I don't is when the custom state needs to be referred to within a repeating group, because repeating groups, when I need to do conditionals within a repeating group, it sometimes makes more sense to do it on something within the cell. So
makes sense.
So can you just that always at the page level?
Okay, so can you just show me your page level custom states?
Sure. So
just so
here,
I get my head around it.
I only have 3, right? So
okay.
Sorting, that's why I did the option set. It was because it would be much cleaner that way.
Got you. Okay.
You will need Yeah, it's still the same for you. You just need to be able to determine, like, from the click, there are going to be various conditions that you're paying attention to in order to switch out which goes into that custom state.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's nowhere near as straightforward as I hoped it would be, but okay. I think I understand what you're doing.
Yeah, it's tricky. We can go through the first part if you want and see if we can get it working for one.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Do you want me to give you access to my
Oh, sure.
app? Is that going to be easier rather than watching me?
Yep, if you'll just
making a
add
sense?
team@pronocoders.com. I just put it in the chat. And you can put
Okay.
that as a collaborator.
Let me try and minimize this window. Right. 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 Hang on.
No worries.
Where's chat there? Right. Okay.
All right. SEO console, right?
That's the one. Yeah. And then the page that we were looking at is called Pages. So it's on the right-hand column. So second column along there. That's it.
Perfect. And
scroll through that stuff. And then we're here. So it's that repeating group. So if you reveal that in the elements tree, and then go to that repeating group, one up from that. That's it. Go there and then click that group RG headers. That's it. Just so you can see those.
got it. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to make a save point.
And for reference, so by default, the way it comes back from the API is it is sorted by clicks from highest to lowest.
Okay. So clicks descending, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then I'm just going to make a save point here so you can go back to exactly where you were before I touched anything.
Yeah.
And then what I'm going to do is make an option set. And this is, what is the name of the repeating group? What is it, the repeating group for?
You can call it anything. So put GSC space pages.
Okay, so GSC space pages, sort. And then I put OS at the end so you can tell that it's an option set.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what we want to do here is we're going to do clicks. And then we're going to do descending is yes or no. So we're going to say clicks descending here. And when we modify this attribute, we would say descending yes. And then now we'll make another one, clicks ascending.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll say ascending no. Right?
Yeah.
So then on the page load here, You're already setting a state here for the page. Perfect. So we'll set another state, and the state will be sorting. And the state type is going to be that option set. And the one that it starts with is click descending. So now we have that state we can refer to, and we know this is the one that we're going to change. Be able to do the different states on the clicks, but also on the for what's showing in the UI. So then you come to the UI here, and right now you have these two different icons. Right? So we want to replace it with one. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come in here and
so
actually what I'm going to do is if I go to the workflow here, I'm going to replace this by a custom event. I'm going to call this one clicks ascending. This is just so I have it available so I don't lose it when I delete the when I delete it off. So, and then I'll do the same thing here. You probably know what those are anyway, so you wouldn't need to do that, but just for me, it's easier. Okay. All right, so now I've preserved the workflows on these. I'm just gonna select and no, it doesn't want to delete both of them at the same time, so I'll just do it one at a time. And then this is a material icon keyboard arrow up, so I don't actually need to delete this one. Is this the icon you want to use? Like
I think if we were to match the Google one, I think theirs is
arrow
slightly different, isn't it? So if you just type arrow, if you search arrow, I think there's a different one. So I think it's just that arrow, arrow up, arrow down, I think is different because it's got a tail.
Yep. Okay, so we'll go with descending as the default, and we'll switch it to ascending. Now what we need to do is when our custom state is not by clicks for sorting, we need to hide it. So actually what I'm going to do here on this icon is I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to say it's not visible on page load, and I'm going to make it visible when the pages sorting is clicks descending, then we'll just make it visible. And we copy and paste this condition, and when it's clicks ascending, it's visible, but the icon itself will be the up arrow. Like that. And then what we want to do is when it's hovered, so when this material icon is hovered, it's visible. So do I need to be logged in as a user to see this page?
I think you do.
Okay.
Well,
so
you do.
Go to app data users, and does it matter which one?
John 3, the bottom one.
So right now,
so you want to go, you're on pages, okay.
Yep, so I'm on pages and it's not showing, so something is wrong here. So let's go.
I guess it's because you said material icon is hovered, show it, and it's not there to start with, is it? So I think you need the hover to be on the group that is clicks, don't you, rather than the material icon, if that makes sense.
probably, let's see. Oh, did I do that? Is that what happened? I did it on one instead of the other. I put it on the icon itself.
Yeah, which isn't there to hover over, is it? So if you put it on the group, that
you're right. Okay, so I will copy this condition and remove it from here and set the condition here. When this group is hovered, not this element is visible. Oh, I know what it is. I just need to say when this group is hovered, when this group is hovered, this element is visible.
yeah, that makes more sense.
So this has it visible even though it's not hovered. But I think that was right, because didn't you say it we automatically
It's sorted? Yeah, it's
sorted
sorted that way by default. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. Now we need to make it so that we can make this ascending.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when we come in here and we go to this workflow. So when material icon keyboard arrow up clicks is clicked, we can rename that if you want. Then what we want to do is run this only when pages sorting is clicks ascending is not. So is not clicks ascending, and pages sorting is not clicks descending, or if it is ascending. Sorting is ascending. Then what we want to do is we want to set the state to descending. Then we're going to take this and we're going to, well, let me add this one. So clicks ascending is when we switch it to descending, and this one is, yeah, this is the one we want. So this will make it descending. So if it's neither of these, right? If it's not already selected, or if it's ascending, then when they click the button, it's going to make it to descending. And I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to say if it is pages sorting is clicks descending, and it's clicked, then what I want to do is take this one off and put this one on. Now I can delete these. All right, so then if I go and I refresh the page, Well, there seems to be some racing conditions here because it works some of the time and not others.
Mm.
So
No, it's there to click though.
it's there to click.
And that, so it works one way.
Works one way. But let's see here what's happening. So page is loaded. Set state. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this off and I'm going to go in and set the default. Oops, that's wrong. Let's go pages here. Sorting default value will be clicks descending. Okay, that'll work more reliably.
Okay.
Then if I click here, it didn't change.
Yeah, but it did sort. Yeah. And if you click it again, does it sort it back?
No. So
No, right.
when I have it, so when it's descending and I click, it's running the workflow, but something's wrong with my conditions because it's not changing. So if I go back into here, so when the material icon pages is clicks descending, that's what happened. I didn't change that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sorted. Okay, cool. Good.
So
okay,
now
so I just need to replicate that across all the rest.
Yep, but one last thing I'm going to change first is I'm going to add a new option here. And the second one is called impressions. So let's call this impressions descending. And it looks like I don't need this attribute at all after all. So impressions descending. So I'm going to come in here and on the impressions here, I'm just going to set the state to a, or should do it on the other one, should be accurate, even though it's just temporary till you switch it. So I'm going to set the state here, pages, sorting to impressions, descending. So it won't be either clicks ascending or descending. So I can see if that hovering effect is working.
Okay.
So I'm going to click here and it changed. It changed it because you already have that one working.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I clicked the down one, it did
So
take this and now it's hovering.
Oh, yeah. 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 Cool. Okay. Very good.
Cool.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Oh, someone's coming in. It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is, so we'll see.
Oh.
Hi there. Hello. I don't know how to say your name. Oh, they disappeared.
Gone.
Oh, well, go on. All right. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah. So let me share my screen again. And I thought the last one was simple and this one was complicated. So brace yourself. So how do I explain this? So, right. So you can see my page, okay, can't you? So in the page we've just been playing with, you get the page, which is obviously a web page on your website or my website in this case, how many clicks that page got, impressions, the click-through rate, where it ranks in the search console, etc., etc. And then what I'm trying to do here is these two columns. So to try and explain, this is the last 30 days worth of data. So it says you've got 262 clicks on that page over the last 30 days. This repeating group here is just, I'm only showing it just for the purposes of trying to explain it to people. This is the previous period. So this is effectively 31 days to 61 days. So it's trying to say, okay, you got 262 clicks in the last 32 days on that page, but the 30 days prior to that, you got 295. Okay, so you've dropped by 33 or whatever it is. And what I want to do is here in this column where it says change, I want to show the difference between those number of clicks and that number of clicks. So effectively, you've dropped by minus 35. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so to do that, and although the idea would be you won't see, the user won't see this, I'm just putting it here so it's easier. What I've done is I have, and this is me messing about, I have got this bit to work by doing an intersects with. So I said basically where this page is the same as this page, bring back the page. And what you'll see is if I expand this, you'll see here, this says new page. This is done via conditional because it's saying this page here, my Shopify Explain, is not, it's a brand new page. It's only just started appearing. It wasn't in the previous 30 days worth of data because it's a new page I added to the site a while ago. So that bit's working fine. And this seems to work. What I then, I think, want to do is say, okay, when you've got this match, now give me the rank from here. So this should be 25, next one below should be 38, etc., etc. And you can see it is pulling back. So that 24.9 is that 25. But what is happening is it's pulling back the same one each time. It's not grabbing the right one. You see what I mean? And
Got it.
That's,
yeah.
And that's probably my lack of understanding of repeating groups, because what I'm doing is if I come out here, I'm saying here, and this is slightly more confused by the fact it's list shifter, but this match query, which is work, says list shifter keyword page is greater than 30 days. So this is the old data, shifted list, each item's keys intersects with parents groups, rows, keys, first item. The first item is just, I can't remember if, I don't know if you remember the conversation I had with Pablo, is that the way, let me just quickly show you so that this makes a bit of sense. So if I go into my calls and just reinitialize this, the way that the Google Search Console API works is it gives me this thing called keys, and then the first key is the keyword and the second key is the page, and then you get clicks, impressions, etc. So I quite often have to go in and say, give me the first key when I want the keyword, and give me the second key when I want the page. So that makes it just that bit more complicated. So in this one, I'm going in and say, give me the first item, which in this case, there's only one item, which is the page, because this is a different call. So that bit works. But then here, on this one, this is the one I can't get to work. So I'm saying, okay, give me the same data, but give me each item's keys intersects with parents group rows, keys, first item. Whichever way I try and do this, it doesn't work. And I think so really all I'm trying to do is say, for here, I want the data that is this one.
Got it.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do.
Okay. And what I tried.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. What I then tried to do is do it with conditional. So, you know, that one where it says new page and make it green. That's how I did this. So what I'm saying is, okay, where this is true, which is basically exactly the same as this. So where this query is true, which I think makes sense, in this column, show me. And the one here says, when the keyword each other's keys intersect is empty, show me a new page. So that's saying where there is no match, put that text new page in, and that works fine. But where I'm saying is not empty, i.e. there is a match, it's this, I think, that's causing me the problem.
Repeating group, get pages, rows.
Which is this repeating group down here.
Greater than, what's the greater than for?
Greater than 30 days is just what I have called this list shifter, because I'm trying to say this list.
That's the name of something. That's not an actual comparison.
That's the name of this list shifter here.
Got it.
Just so I know, this is the old data, not the latest data.
Yeah, I was just making sure we weren't doing math.
Yeah. Yep. No.
And then if you go, so so the text would be repeating group, get pages, row, greater than 30s, list of get pages, rows, each item's position
which is rank. Yeah.
Item, I think. You don't want each item. You want this item number that's equal to the current cell's index, right?
Yes.
Or if you when you sort it, do you resort the other repeating group?
No.
Okay, so you probably want to. You probably want to sort them the same because you need the index numbers to match. And then that's not going to work because you're going to have some new things in there as well.
Yeah, and I don't think the index thing will work full stop because what you can't guarantee is, so let's say that this is for the last 30 days, this has been your top performing page.
Right.
So that would be index position 1.
Right.
You have it's only by luck that.
So you're going to have to do it with the comparison of the page. So go back to the conditional again. Hey, Callum. So
hi.
I think what you want to do is have filter the rows. So it's where it says each items, just click each item's position, and you might want to make another save point before you change this. It's up to you. It's not working.
Right. It doesn't work anyway, so we're not losing.
Yeah. Okay. So then what you're going to do is filtered, and then add the constraint, and the constraint will be this where the not position. Keys, clicks, impressions.
Yeah, so keys would be the first key would give me the page, which is what's going on over here.
Okay, so keys probably contains current cells page, or whichever key has the page. So current cells or parent groups get pages. However you would say this same page.
Probably that, I'm guessing.
There's rows, keys, and then first item, right?
Yeah.
And then you would say text would be, yeah, whatever you're trying to show. Then it would be the rank, right? That's what you're trying to get at. So it would be the first item, because it's only going to match one item, right? So go up and say first item, and then you would say the position. I think that's how you would say it.
Right. Okay.
You want to test and see if that works?
Oh, it's brave.
If it's slow, we might have to do some other magic.
Now that seems to be doing something, because that is now only bringing in one value. So 24 point thingy is 25, that's fine. 38.4 is that one. Yep. That does appear to work.
Okay.
They're different just because I haven't formatted that number to get it to one decimal place.
Sorry.
So we can do that real quick.
Yeah.
Hi, Baraka.
Hi.
I think this is the first time we've actually been able to speak.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. I've been watching some of the Pro Code YouTube videos, and I came across one of that was dealing with the domain registration and Google authentication.
Sure.
And I got stuck around on the way.
Let me just finish up with John and then ask Callum if he has any questions, and then we can help you with that for sure.
I think that's working.
You're all set? All sorted?
Yeah, because I've converted the number and it matches to me. So I'll compare the numbers properly, but that looks right to me. So that's cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's two problems solved.
Yeah.
Thank
you. No problem. Hey, Callum.
Hey.
Do you have anything for today?
I have a question.
What's the question?
Why, Bubble? Why?
Oh, Bubble just, yes.
Hit the bed massively. What the hell are they? I mean, any app that has a chat feature that creates a new item per message is screwed. Like, my database just crashed, but I'm trying to find out on my live app how many messages there are in there, because it's just, and like visitors aren't even logged in visitors. That's just anyone who comes to your site as well. Like, I just literally had a chat with Andrew about it as well and what it means, but it looks like it might make a massive, if it stays like this, make a massive shift to finding a standard database they use and just connect to the API, because it's just.
Well, yeah. So we've been, I mean, at Pro NoCoders, we've kind of seen the writing on the wall anyway with the database, just because the requests for what our clients want to do with databases are just becoming more and more complex over time. And so we've already announced officially about a month ago that Pro NoCoders' second no-code platform that we're going to be supporting is Xano. This accelerates that timeline greatly, but also backendless is now is equally important. So we're gonna do some major work on training everyone at Pro NoCoders on Xano and backendless so that we can support our customers, our clients, because we know that shift is going to be happening as a matter of necessity. Now, whether I think Bubble is right or wrong to make the shifts or changes or whatever, I think that of course, we don't like it that it's going to be more expensive for certain like apps and things like that. I think if I had to guess what Bubble was thinking, because a lot of people are like, what were you thinking? If I had to guess what Bubble was thinking beyond what they've said that they were thinking, I would say that the deficiencies in Bubble's backend are causing people to do way crazy complicated things in the backend to get around those deficiencies or limitations, and it's causing a lot of problems. And so they're basically pricing that complexity out of Bubble. Right?
Like my app, which I've run for 1 month, like trying to get people on it, I've got less than 100 users. I've got 769 entries for just messages back and forward and over 1,000 posts. Like, and what that's on the personal plan, that's nearly half of what I'm allowed in the database.
Yes. Well, I mean, Callum, my second point was that Bubble has always focused on startups, and this is a major shift that seems like maybe they're starting to focus more on enterprise.
Maybe. I don't get though so the 10,000 monthly unique daily visitors and the 5,000 database things. That means in your first month you can't get 10,000. I know most people don't, but you can't get 10,000 signups in your first month because obviously a user is a database thing, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so effectively in your first month, you can't use your 10,000 allowed monthly unique visitors.
I mean, it's essentially, I would say, like, I agree with you. This is like a major shift, and it's going to put a lot of people off of Bubble. And I think that the line is being drawn in the sand. Come to Bubble prepared to make money, because if it's not profitable, it's not going to be worthwhile to you.
That's the point, yes. But like the fact that you said, oh, something we've heard over the years is the confusion around what capacity entails. I mean, yeah, the units of server capacity were always a bit wishy-washy. But someone who's been on hundreds of calls trying to sell Bubble, people don't care. They're like, as long as it's a normal kind of unit and I can see what it is, I can measure what it is. People don't really mind that you can't define and specify what the unit of server capacity is. What they've done now is gone, oh, well, we can define it, but it's just like 10 times more expensive, which is crazy. And then they put in that thing about, oh, storage is 10 times cheaper now. You're like, yeah, but I've got nowhere to store it now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's definitely a shift, and it's definitely going to make.
I think it will kill the community. I said this to Andrew. We had a chat about it. I said, like, I don't know if you guys remember Google SketchUp, the 3D CAD program from the early 2010s. Like, loads of people used it. Had an amazing community. There was a free version. Schools were using it. It's how I learned to use 3D model. Everyone was using it because they had a free version. Then I think they actually got bought by Google, and Google went, no, we only want to have professionals on here. And they cut the free plan altogether, and it just killed the community. There's not really a community. Like, people still use it, but you have to be a professional to use it because the base one's like $300 just to get on it. And it, like, the great thing about Bubble has always been the community. And I feel like this is just going to kill it for a lot of people now.
It is going to kill it for a lot of people. I do not think you are wrong about that. And that is incredibly sad.
Yeah. What was that? There's a template, isn't there? There's Bubble on Bubble, isn't there? We should try and make our own Bubble. That incredibly slow template. But
I remember. But I think that the other piece of that, though, is there were people who are trying to do what several of my clients have been trying to do even recently, is they're trying to figure out how Bubble is going to scale in price as they scale. And I think this makes it easier to see that, because people do get very confused around capacity, and it does feel like a scary thing when you're getting started. So
true.
Not saying I am pro this decision or against this decision, just saying I'm going to roll with it. We were already planning on.
I'd argue that I'd rather not know how the pricing was calculated and it be cheap than to know how it was calculated and have it really.
Well, I think that's the part that's really funny, right? Is the way that they phrased it in their email is that when you look at how this is going to shake out for you, for the great majority of people, it's going to be similar or less expensive. But then, like they said, there are these outliers who it's going to be much more expensive, and we're going to reach out to them.
But I don't think that accounts. I don't think they've accounted for that properly. I think they've looked at the number of database items divided by the number of people like using Bubble and come up with the figure. But there's got to be at least 10-20% of their user base who created an account for the first time, created their first app, given up, so their database is virtually empty, and it's massively bringing down that average. And they've gone, oh, well, that's a decent number to put in there. I reckon they'll 10x it or something.
I don't know how they did their math, but I don't think they're dumb. So.
No, I don't think they're dumb. I just think that now they've got 100 million in Series A, they've got some other things to consider. Anyway, I have to jump off, and it's going to be a lot harder for me to make money now.
So you just came on for a rant.
Oh, yeah, I came for a 10-minute rant. I have an
well, I mean, everybody talks about. Well, I did invite people to come in for the rant, but but I think the other piece of that is. I think the other piece of that is you raise 100 million, and people think, oh, you have all of this money. Those investors expect that money back plus some. So now they have to figure out how to make $100 million.
Yeah.
Hey, Baraka, can I help you get your app all set up with the domain?
Okay.
Do you want to share your screen? Yeah.
Yes.
That's precisely why I wouldn't raise $100 million. I don't want to ever owe anybody $100 million. Okay, so we're looking at your DNS records, and it does look like you have, okay, it looks like you have some identical ones. You need to change the last digit on the second row and on the fourth row.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what that last digit, I think it's 1 if I remember, but let me go and check real quick. I have to sign into GoDaddy to see. I just paid GoDaddy a lot of money because my annual re-up for all of my domains happened. I called them and I had them put it all on the same date. Let's see. Oh, NoCoders. This DNS. Oh, I hit the wrong button, sorry. Does this mean you're launching your app, Baraka?
Not yet.
Not yet, not quite yet. Okay.
Yeah. I'm also thinking of the thing is with the time zone.
Nope, you have it right. Never mind.
I need to. It's like 2, 3 hours, like 8 hours ahead of your time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of I had to fine tune with also my timetable, my normal days timetable.
Sure. So
Yeah.
it looks like your A records are actually exactly what they should be. So now, have you, in your Bubble app, have you put this domain name in there?
Yes. Let me. As you can see.
Okay. And then how long ago did you do this?
So I did it yesterday, and then I thought maybe it will take time for it to like propagate well, but today it was still the same thing as you see here. So
Just go back to your GoDaddy record again.
I think you're having trouble getting to it because it's behind the Zoom thing, right?
yes.
I hate that. Okay.
Scroll up. So you've spelt the domain name wrong in Bubble. So it's quote my trips, and you've got it QOUT in Bubble.
Oh, okay. Let me look at it.
Yep.
So that's quote my trips. Go to Bubble.
Good catch.
Spelt it wrong.
Yep. So just switch the O and the U around in the where it says domain name.
Yeah.
It's always the simple things.
Right? Yep. Change app domain. And QU.
Yeah.
And then you have to add the extension. I think it's .com, right? And then set up this domain. Nope, go back to Bubble. Just set up that domain. And then it might take a few minutes still to propagate, but that should settle it. Are you using maps in your app?
No, I'm not using.
Shut my door.
Okay, then don't worry about that.
Shush, you pair. Sorry.
That's all right. My cat has been driving me crazy. All right. So now just go to the go to quotemytrips.com. Have you deployed to live?
I have to deploy it live.
Nope. So you have not. So then just go to quotemytrips.com/version-test. Do you want me to type it for you? Quotemytrips.com version test. There, I sent it in the chat in Zoom.
I think,
Create and manage Safari quote like a pro. Is that what it's supposed to be? Sign up to Safari quote and increase your productivity. Is that what your homepage says? Yep, I'm seeing that as well.
Yep, it worked.
yeah, it worked. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Barack, while I've got you, you've got another typo on that page. So sign up to Safari quote. Just while I'm looking at it. So sign up to Safari quote. So you spelled sign wrong.
Okay.
Oh, and you also did it on the button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to change it on the Bower editor.
John, do you have any other questions for today?
No, I think I've taken up enough of your time, so I will leave you in peace. Thank you very much for your help. That's moved me forward a lot.
Of course, my pleasure. And Baraka, did you have more questions for today?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, there's the other question that I last time I asked you on that contains list. Do you remember it?
No. Can you refresh my memory?
Okay, let me show you one way. So I had I have a database that it contains let's say it contains national parks which I've linked with accommodation as a list. So I was trying to filter my repeating group using the list that I kept within the accommodation database. It's easy if I just show you one.
Just out of interest, while you get into that, when you say Safari quotes, is this quotes to go on a safari holiday? Is that the concept of your site?
Yes.
In somewhere in Africa?
Yeah, Tanzania.
Oh, in Tanzania. Cool.
Yes.
My wife works for a safari travel company. That's why I was interested.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay.
She's been to Tanzania. She's going to Uganda next May to do gorilla cuddling.
Oh yeah, gorilla tracking.
Yeah.
So Tanya.
Yeah.
Tanya, sorry if I spelled your name wrong. I have so I have a custom. I have a state that I'm creating it using a drop down that is here. I don't know where is it now. But now in my database, should I show you the database?
So just show me the repeating group that you're trying to filter.
This one.
Okay. And then what's the issue with filtering? What's happening that it's not working?
Okay, in my database, I have a list of a national park that is linked to an accommodation. So within the accommodation database, I have a list of national parks which the accommodation is allocated, that they offer accommodation to several national parks. If you understand me. So I was trying to use that list to filter my repeating group to see. So I have to select like 3 national parks, and then they'll show me the accommodation.
Okay, so just, yeah, can you preview it so I can see, like, that's not true. We know that's not true. Just, it seems to be loading.
It's the old URL. It's the misspelt one again.
Yeah. No, that one's okay. It's just, it's loading. Here we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So you want to select the national park and you want to see the accommodations that belong to that national park.
Yes.
Okay. And so now it makes sense to look at the database. So the national park is a table in your database or no?
A national park is a table in my database.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to drop off, guys.
Bye, John. It was great to hang out.
So I'll see you on probably Friday.
Yep. See you then.
Okay, cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Baraka.
Bye, John.
Bye.
So I had because if you can remember on Discord, I did ask you about I think the database I had to propagate it a little bit different, because I had a list, I had dates that I wanted them to help me. When I record them, then I can see which accommodation is available. So I got it solved on Bubble Forum. So I had 2 databases that within. So I had the accommodation, and then I had the other one that's accommodation availability available. So within my accommodation as in whole, it's where I'm saving the national park. A list of national park.
Okay, so the accommodation has a list of national parks, but okay, so then go back to your repeating group real quick. And again, national park is a data table and not an option set, correct?
It's an option set.
It is an option set. Okay.
Yes.
I just need to know that. All right. So go to the repeating group.
Okay.
And go into, yep, just double click into the repeating group so I can see the data source of the repeating group. Okay. So you're searching for accommodation available dates.
Yes.
And then click on there and then click filtered. So click more and then type filtered. And then add a new constraint. And then go ahead and click. And you want to say that the national park. And then I don't know how you're going to do it with multiple. How many of these will be showing on the page at one time?
You mean like a row, like how many of them?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to put it, but it depends with the database how many accommodation I've listed in.
Okay, with what I think we might have to do, you might need to paginate, because I don't want it to tell it to do a bunch of these calculations like on every single row. But try going, just delete that particular constraint, and then let's try an advanced filter. It's important when you do advanced filters that that you have a paginated repeating group, or that your repeating group's probably not going to be more than like 10 or 15 items. So go ahead and click advanced.
Okay.
And then go ahead and click. And then what we want to do is search for accommodation available dates where this accommodation available date. No, what are you? Okay, but I don't know if we can. You can try it this way. Add a new constraint where filtered by where do search accommodation. National Park. Go ahead. Yeah, that's not going to work either. So go ahead and take off the do a search. Just click the delete button. Nope, not the close, delete. Not close, delete. Next to it, yeah. Okay, so click there where it says click up at the top. Yep, there you go. And then this accommodation available date. And then National Park. And we want but we don't want it to contain the list. We want it to contain any of them. National Park intersects or oh, that's not true, because you're just picking one national park from the drop down, right?
The thing is, if I had to pick one national park, it would have to not involve a list, the way I'm thinking of it. So I'm trying to pick like multiple national parks, which will show me the accommodation that are within those national park. Because the way I'm thinking of having this functionality is that I can have one accommodation that that renders guests to either 2 national park or 3 national park. You see, so I wanted like to within the drop down that contains the national park. When I select maybe 1, 2, 3, they'll show me the accommodation that are linked to those national parks. Thank you if you understand.
So go back to the preview. Can you, it's because the thing is in the way. Can you just click preview? So you want to sort by national park, or you want to filter by national park? It says sort by. You mean filter?
Filter. I mean filter.
And it needs to be an accommodation that includes all of those national parks, or just at least one of them?
At least one of them.
Okay. And then I think let me ask Eli what his recommendation would be, but I might change the database structure so that it's cross-referenced. so that each of your national parks has a list of accommodations. And so you can search, you can do a repeating group of accommodations, but then the search is for the national parks that are selected, their accommodations, and then you can do unique elements.
Oh, okay.
Does that recommendation make sense? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, it sort of makes sense, which means that when I'm creating a national park, it will have also I have to create a list of accommodations.
Right. Well, I would probably take national park out of option sets, and I would instead put it in to a data table. But let me just ask and see if my instinct on that is right, because doing inclusive ORs is doing an OR that will contain any as opposed to containing all is not my, like, I understand the difference, but I haven't worked with it enough to be really comfortable advising you. But I think if I was going to do that, I would do, instead of having a search of all of the accommodations in the repeating group, I would do a search for all of the national parks accommodations, unique elements, and then I would filter it by those clicked, like selected, right? So you would start with all of them, and then you would go, well, just the accommodations that belong to the national parks that I've selected.
Okay.
But I do understand the issue much better now, so I should be able to get you an answer on it.
Okay.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions for today?
Okay. The question is that with the pricing that that Bubble has changed, does it affect, like, what is the difference, the main difference between the pricing that was earlier and the pricing that is now?
So they've completely changed the metrics by which they're going to be charging for their apps on a monthly basis. They were charging based on a combination of features and what they called capacity being used by the app. Capacity was essentially the number of, so you were allotted a certain amount of capacity at any given time to accommodate actions per second in your app. And then, and as you would increase your plan, you would get more dedicated, like, capacity, like units of capacity for that.
Okay.
That has always been a really tricky thing to explain to people. It was a really hard concept for people to wrap their heads around. I've gone through trying to answer that question a number of different times over the last 18 months, even for myself, trying to understand, well, how much is Bubble actually going to cost me as I'm getting started? And that's, of course, a big question to anybody who's getting ready to start an app, is like, you want to know, well, okay, is this really something that I'm going to be able to afford? They're changing it so that instead of being based on features and capacity, they're going to base the charges on how many, well, they're probably going to still charge based on features, but the capacity part is moving to how many things you have in your database total across all of your data types, how many rows are actually in your database, and then how many unique visitors. And I need to read the language again, but it looks like unique visitors on a monthly basis.
Oh, okay.
And so, and I think they said unique visitors on a monthly. So let me go, let's go to I'm going to share my screen and we'll go to the Bubble forum post and we'll read some of the stuff because it's been an hour and I'm sure lots of people have chimed in since I last was there. Oh, so many people. Look at that. Like, how many people? Oh my goodness. See, latest comment here. They're like trying to manage everyone's freaking out right now. So, monthly unique daily visitors. That is a really bad way of phrasing that, whatever that means. Monthly unique daily visitors. So, someone can visit your site 10 times a day and only count once on that day, but then those days will be counted up, like your total unique visitors per day will be counted up into a monthly total, and you have a total of 50,000 of those. So if somebody visits your site, if I understand it correctly, someone better explained it below. If someone visits your site 10 times on one day, that counts as one. But if they come to your site on 10 different days, it counts as 10.
Okay.
So this means how busy, like how many people are visiting your app, and then how many things you have in your database. And the reason Callum was upset is because he has a social media app that he's trying to grow. And of course, with the social media app, you want your users creating lots of things in the database all the time.
Yes.
Right? And you're going to if you're at all successful, you're very quickly going to, be upwards of this 5,000, right? And hopefully upwards of the 25,000 here, right? So they've lowered the production plan from 560 or something to 320 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's a significant drop. So it's much closer to the professional plan than it was. But I think the collective complaining that I see in these replies here are all based on the fact that most people have plans for their apps that are going to quickly reach this production level. And they don't want to be on the production level. They want to be on the personal level. But from my perspective, this is just going to require those of us who are building apps to be really, really conscientious of making sure that we build profitable apps, right? Like we have to make sure, like the way that it was, as long as you were doing efficient workflows, you could scale to however many users you wanted. You could scale to however many things in the database, and Bubble's maximum that they were going to make from you was probably 560, but usually 115. I don't think 115 per month is, I mean, if I was the person, if it was just me, if it was my company who had built Bubble as platform, I probably wouldn't think that would be enough. That's less than the cost to join Pro NoCoders per month.
Wow, okay.
So, and I didn't build Bubble. So I think every company that is scaling and doing something right is going to go through some kind of growing pains, especially around price increases. And I think this price increase is as dramatic as it is for a lot of people who are probably feeling betrayed. It's probably the right call for Bubble. Bubble has to be sustainable, or all of everything that we do is for naught, because then Bubble will go away.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the pricing changes?
Anyway, fun fact is that I just paid on Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. I paid a year annually for 300. And anyway, I'm not. I've been using Bubble like for, let's say, 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say 5 months. I was getting used to Bubble and so forth. So I don't know how, because what for me, what I'm building is that it's like an internal software for the company. So the way you just told me that, like for the social media an application, it will be a different and just a pain for someone, like, because if you say now it will be counted by unique like the daily visitors and so forth, it will be hard to a person that has like social medias and depends a lot on visitors on his application.
Yeah, but you have to, I mean, I agree that this is more expensive, like much more expensive than the personal plan was before. But I think this just is calling into question, like, are you building on Bubble as a hobby, or are you building it as a business? Because if you're building it as a hobby, then Bubble is saying, we are not going to fund your hobbies. You have to fund it.
Okay. Yeah,
and then they're saying, and if it's not a hobby, then you should be making money. And as a service provider that is helping you to profit, then some of that should come to us. And I agree with that.
So, like, by the way you're putting it is that, like, if you're building on Bubble, you should also think about the profitability, like like how to aim from what you're building up.
When you're doing effective cost benefit analysis, like when you're kind of analyzing from the beginning, like, should I do this? Because it's a big investment of time and energy and resources to build an app. I know that Bubble likes to advertise that you can build very cheaply on Bubble, and that's true, but it's not true in terms of the time and energy that is required. Like, they make it seem like you can build an app in an hour or in less than 2 weeks or something. But you and I both know we've spent far many more than 1 hour building apps, right? So, so that's not true. It's like the time investment that you have, and then there's the resource investment. And it costs money to provide the services that Bubble is providing. And I think what they're saying is they're not making enough money based on what they're charging. So
that's true. That's true.
And I make, I make too much money with Bubble for them to not be making more money than what they've been making from me. So am I mad at it? Nope, not really. Was I surprised and shocked and feeling like all of the emotions around, oh no, what's happening? Sure, absolutely emotional.
Okay.
But if it no longer makes sense to you price-wise, Bubble has competitors. So
the issue that the way I'm seeing it is that like it will affect people in different ways, like regarding to what you're having. Like if it's a hobby or it's a business that you're creating or a startup, something like that. So also if the pricing they're going like that way, so a person also will charge them more to the end customer. How do you see it?
Well, can you rephrase that one more time?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that the way Bubble is like the price, they're taking price, like the price now it's high, and the way they are charging it, and with all the metrics. The last pain will be the end customer. Either it's if you are running your application as a hobby, or you're running it as the business. So at the end of the day, also you have to raise the price.
Well, I mean, and so for Callum's situation, which is like a social media app, you don't make money from your users directly, right?
Yeah.
You make money from your users indirectly, because eventually you're selling advertising.
Yes.
Right? That's in some way, some form, you are having to sell something to someone. And in the case of social media apps, that tends to be advertising. And with the exception of YouTube, which I love greatly for allowing me to pay a subscription so I don't have to see ads. And I would happily pay that on Facebook every day of the week. Facebook, if you're listening. But yeah, so yes, you're right. The question is, how are you going to end up charging or making money per end user to make the changes in pricing here make sense for you to stay on Bubble?
Yeah. Yes.
But one thing that I've been hoping for a while now is that Bubble maybe doesn't stop advertising to startups, but starts advertising and really promoting Bubble at the enterprise level. Because I don't know if you're building for yourself or if you're building for clients, but for those of us who build apps for clients, the clients that we need to attract in order to make more money are the enterprises out there. It's the small to medium enterprise, or even the larger enterprises who need apps and have the money to pay for them. It's the startups oftentimes don't have enough money to pay for a professional developer to come in and build their app, which is fine, because that's why Bubble advertises that you can be a non-technical co-founder and build your app on Bubble yourself, right? But I think that the technology is so powerful that it does make sense to have professional Bubble developers, which I consider myself to be a professional Bubble developer, and in which case I need to attract clients who can pay me. And right now the Bubble advertising is such that it attracts a bunch of startups that do not have the money to pay me, and not enough enterprises that do have enough money to pay me. And I think this pricing change is indicative of some shifting priorities in terms of the kinds of clients they attract to Bubble.
Yeah, that's true. That's That's completely true. Because the thing is that you find, like, I know most of enterprises, the way you have said it is true, because most of individuals, like, now, either it's someone who wants to start a startup or just an application on a project for himself or herself, the way Bubble puts it, you think it's much easier. Like, it's easier for a person, like, without the best places where, like, now people can either get money or, like, okay, do business with the enterprise or big companies. The way I think I understood what you said.
Yep. I just think that my favorite. I don't think any of us like to haggle over pricing. I think that that's frustrating both for clients and also for developers. And I think that I think this will help Bubble align its user base in a better way for me. But I certainly understand how this does not serve people who don't want to pay for Bubble or don't want to pay much for Bubble. But then Bubble has to say, well, are the people who really don't want to pay us a lot of money our target customers? And the answer in any business is the customer who wants to pay you more money is more aligned with your business than the customer who doesn't want to pay you. I don't see there being two ways about that. So
Okay. I wanted to know, like, how was your journey with Bubble? Like, how you experienced everything? Because for me, I think I don't know with time or with anything, but the way Bubble puts it, or the way you see, like, the way people are building up, or you see advertising and so forth, I think it's different. It's not like the reality itself.
oh yeah, you mean the advertisement that I can build an app, I can have an app built for me for less than $1,000 in under 2 weeks, or is that the advertising you're talking about?
Yeah.
I take issue with that. For sure. I think that's false advertising. I'm just going to say it. I think that's blatantly false. I don't think you can give someone the impression that they're going to have and I mean, can you get an MVP for that? I don't think that you're well, first of all, I don't think they define MVP in that advertising, right?
Yes.
It's easy to make an ugly app, right? It's easy to make an ugly app, and it's easy to have an app that does very, like, a few basic things, but that's not what people need an MVP for, right? You don't need an MVP that just allows you to log users in and collect a little bit of information. There are plenty of other no-code platforms that do that better for less money, right? When you are, can you build an MVP in 2 weeks? We've done it over and over and over again at AirDev. Does it cost you $1,000? No, it doesn't. It costs you many times more than that. So.
Anyway, like, I think okay, I was reading. I just bought the book regarding to. I don't know if you have read it. Bubble, what?
The Ultimate Guide to Bubble Performance?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. It's a good book.
Okay. Yeah, so I was reading it, and anyway, I think for me, I could say, like, I've learned a lot through the hard way, because some of the things I had to think of them the other way to do it and so forth. Like the issue with list of, it's okay, I could say list of date ranges. It like took me like 3 weeks, something sort of like thinking the way out, and I had to sit through the Bubble forum and so forth. But I found it's like it's not like the way people think of Bubble is the actual truth of it. See, like, okay, now you can create an app less than 2 weeks or less than a month, and then it costs you less or so forth and like that. But at the end of the day, you see it like for me, the budget, like the plan that I had before, so first to reach in order to launch the project that I'm doing, it has surpassed it. Like it's way higher than the actual I thought.
Yes, I think that the way that Bubble has to, or at least the way that Bubble has grown its user base with its current advertising and previous advertising, I think that I consider it to be misleading, and yet I can see how it makes sense that they advertise it that way. I mean, I get how it gets people on the platform, and that's the first hurdle. You have to get people to try it, right? And then
Yes.
it's a numbers game after that. How quickly, like how good can your tutorials be on Bubble that someone gets a sense of what they can do themselves such that they
Yes.
get hooked, right? So it was
Yes.
sufficient to me back in August of 2020 when I first signed up for a free Bubble app, and I came back a couple weeks later and like actually did the tutorials, and then decided that I was actually going to devote time to learn Bubble because I listened to a bunch of podcasts and I did a bunch of research, and I was like, yeah, I think this would be a valuable platform to invest my time and attention into learning, right? And so my experience with Bubble was kind of what that all of that advertising was meant to achieve, right?
Yeah.
The question is, can you do it better than that? Can Bubble do it better than that? Can they attract more of the right people faster who will continue to use Bubble? And do I resent that they lied to me in their advertising? Right? Do I resent that? I mean, truth is my very first paid Bubble gig as a Bubble developer, I had only been bubbling for 3 weeks at that point. And the gig that I landed, I charged essentially $2,400 for 1 week for me to build an MVP. And I did it. I built an MVP in 1 week for $2,400, right? And then that client ended up paying me for 4 weeks because they continued to expand on that MVP and wanted to polish things up. So I ended up making, over, I didn't do full weeks for all 4 weeks, but I did make over $8,000 in my first month as a Bubble developer, right?
Wow.
And I did turn out an MVP in basically under a month, right? So, yeah. So can you move through Bubble quickly? Absolutely. Is it less expensive than doing traditional dev? Yes, it is. Absolutely. So they're not lying or being deceptive about that, right? It is less expensive. It is much faster.
Okay.
That app that I did was done quickly. It was done for less money, but it wasn't good.
Why?
Right?
Why do you say
I was honest. I was honest with the person who hired me. I told him I've only been doing this for 3 weeks, right? So like I'm willing to work on it for this amount of money to work on your MVP, which you want, and I will do whatever I can to get you this product that you're asking for on time. And I met all of those requirements, and yet that it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a good app, right? So there's a lot of variation from like what you can build on Bubble, what you can build on Bubble, and what you can build on Bubble at any given time, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, well, I have to wrap things up. I have another meeting coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording. I'm going to move into after hours. I'll have a little chat with Baraka before we hang up. But if you would like to join us on office hours, please go to pronocoders.com, sign up for the developer plan, the developer membership, and then you can come and do this kind of hangout thing with me and also with Cameron, who also hosts office hours 6 times per week. So we would love to see you. Please go sign up. Thanks for watching.